Yeah.
All right. All right. What makes a man? So I was trying to figure out how I was going to attack this. So I just wanted to go with some things. And I've rephrased the questions over and over. I've actually got a question that really says, what do you guys think? Do you have a question? But I'll save that one. All right. Um, my first question is, does a real man have a cap on being in touch with his emotions? Because remember, this is what makes a man. Does a real man have a cap on being in touch with his emotions? So if I were to answer, I would say yes. I feel like the emotional man kills you over sneakers, or kills you because you stepped on his sneakers, or shoots up a school like Columbine. All this emotional being in touch with your feelings, I feel like people are going awry. Men deal with emotions in violence, in anger. That's how our emotions manifest. That's how we feel comfortable. So when men are so called in touch, it's manifesting in a way that is not good. We have a lot we have a lot of emotional and trauma based responses because we think that we in touch with all this emotional shit, where I think we need to be much more stoic and kind of take shit on the chin, pause, so to speak, like they used to back in the day. Go ahead, love.
So I just, I make little faces. I'm not going to interrupt you. But I would beg to differ. I think that men that are out of touch with their emotions do that erratic, crazy behavior, because you just said it. Men that deal with their emotions are violent. That's not natural. Like, emotions don't have to equate to violence. If you understand your emotions and you know how to express them in a healthy way, you're not going to sit there and immediately go straight to violence. There's a way in which you express anger that's a healthy way. If it's unhealthy in the way you deal with your emotions, that's when you slap people unexpectedly. That's when you sit there and shoot things up. So that's why I beg to differ in that regard. Um, a real man, I just think that this question is another crazy question to me. A real man can be in touch with his emotions. Emotions aren't always crying all the time. Like, that doesn't mean that you're in touch with your emotions because you're crying or always, being wimpy or weak. That means you understand what you're feeling in the moment and you can articulate it and express it in a healthy way. There's other emotions besides anger and sadness. There's joy, there's love, there's laughter. Like, there's just different ways that you can express how you're feeling on the inside. And when you don't understand how you're feeling and it's all jumping up and you can articulate it, that's when bad things happen.
Yeah, sound like a woman.
So being joyful is being a woman.
No, just like because like you don't understand testosterone.
Okay.
Because I was telling you, man's emotions manifest like that though, naturally.
So teach me, right? So when you feel anger and you're frustrated as a man, your immediate response to that is violence. It's not, you
No,
know.
I was just framing it in terms of all these emotional men. This is how it's manifesting now.
So
In the foolishness, because we get so angry and emotional because somebody stepped on our sneaker or told me suck my dick or call me a bitch. Niggas should
emo,
get killed for shit like that.
right, but so the problem is you're equating emotional to negativity.
I'm not
And
not me. You see it.
well, no, what I'm saying is that is that's negative, and that's frustration, that's anger, that's violence, because you don't understand how to express what's going on, because you have subdued it, you have, pushed it down and haven't learned a healthy way to deal with whatever's making you frustrated. And when you don't, and you bottle it all up, that's when it's expressed, and that way you slapping people and beating people over the head is what I'm saying. And that's emotional, I guess, but that's really erratic anger that has been dealt with.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a hyper emotional response to something that you haven't dealt with. And that's the negative piece. And that's women as well, but that's the negative aspect of it. Dealing with your emotions, because that's what you said, emotions. There are multiple emotions that a man can have, and they can express them in a healthy manner. It doesn't make him less than a man, less than a real man. There shouldn't be a cap. That's part of the problem. Now there's a cap, and because you aren't taught how to express it. That's when the hyper violent individual occurs.
To with the $5 super chat are more men are more in touch and in control of their feelings than women, but when men lose control, it's bad. Chief Love said, I want you to give an organic thought, but she said that's what makes it so bad now. But I feel like men are much more emotional. I hear people talking about therapy all the time now, where men are more in touch. But I feel like we are, even our women say it. Men of today ain't shit. We ain't like the men before. Go ahead.
So to answer your question, excuse me,
Mhm.
does a real man have a cap on being in touch with his emotions? I say yes, until he's able to regulate them. Because obviously, the emotion we can most identify with is anger. Whatever emotion precedes anger, we haven't been able to pinpoint it. And what came to my head was when I was 14, I tripped on a step, get on the city bus. My foot brushed the dress of a woman behind me, and she was like, "Damn niggers." And I remember like getting on the bus and I'm angry, crying, my fists are balled up. She didn't give me a chance to apologize, whatever. But looking back at it, I was hurt. But I wasn't able to say I was hurt, so it just made me angry. You dig what I'm saying? Like I wasn't able to identify the hurt in that period of time, so it turned into anger. And in that case, what was I supposed to do? Beat up an old lady, cuss an old lady out? You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of balled up my anger and did what I did. But I think we most readily identify with anger. And I think it's not until a lot of us reach adulthood, in the deeper phases of our adulthood, that we can start to identify those emotions, because all we do is turn whatever it is into anger. And in many cases, a lot of us haven't learned how to deal with that anger, and it results to violence.
So, Chief, with that being said, if you say it's naturally anger is a natural default because we don't know how to mitigate it or understand what we really feeling, right?
Yes.
So, don't you think we should remain stoic? All this emotional shit, if we don't understand it and anger naturally manifests, we need to be taught how to stay stoic and maybe just deal.
Do you think it's better for us to remain stoic, or to be given lessons at a young age and how to deal with some of these emotions and be able to communicate through these emotions, so we can therefore learn how to process in that? You dig what I'm saying? Because so we taught be angry, put on some pads and go run a nigga over on the football field, versus more suitable or positive ways to handle those emotions and able to identify that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think. Go ahead.
Hold on. Go ahead. Finish the thought.
No. I think like I've. It's tough because I'm thinking of my son. In like the scenario comes up as he lost in the game of musical chairs. Little motherfucker was pissed, real mad. And he was mad and he started crying. And I'm like, Major, why you crying? He's like, cause I'm a wimp. And I'm like, nah, you're a competitor. You know what I'm saying? And you don't like losing, so therefore you got to get better at the game. So it was just, it's just different. But again, he couldn't identify what it was. He started talking down to himself, and again, he was angry, crying, stomping and doing all the other shit. So we kind of processed on what the emotion he was feeling. So I think I don't know if I would have, I didn't instruct him to kind of be more stoic and chalk that L up. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, okay, you in the middle of that shit, process, understand what it is. You don't like losing, get better, motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but does that? Yeah, that's
musical chairs. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but losing is losing. But you just said, hey, you got to get better at musical chairs, whatever the case is. The anger's still there though. He's still gonna get mad when he lose. He just gonna get better so he don't lose.
Right. But what I did was tell him, like, help him process through that moment. Like, ain't no point in getting mad. It's a game. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to understand what it is. You're a competitor. So now in order to prevent yourself from getting angry, get better.
Okay, that's fair. True Impact with the $5 super chat. The so-called trauma happened because they were already attracting it prior to the so-called trauma. The trauma is an excuse because society accepts it. I think they might be talking about the last conversation. Okay, about being gay or whatever, right? Mr. Britt with the $2 super chat. Men have a certain pockets they need to operate in. That might be. And we out.